Let's go to the phone. Let's talk some NBA with Steve Aschburner. He's a senior writer at NBA.com. Steve, welcome to the Woody versus Les on Clayton Kershaw show. But we'll talk basketball with you, I promise.
Well, he agrees, Steve, don't you? Kershaw belongs in the All-Star game. Everybody, yeah.
Steve, you with us?
Guys,
Hi, Steve. Can you hear us now?
I hear you fine.
Oh, great. Hey, Steve, let's talk some basketball, of course. You're a senior writer at NBA.com. And
he's a baseball fan. You believe Clayton Kershaw belongs in the All-Star game, don't you, Steve?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Now we can move on to the NBA.
Great. Nice talking to you, Steve. Well, thanks for joining the show.
That's my vote.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Steve, winners and losers in free agency. Who's the biggest winner in free agency in the NBA?
Well, San Antonio, to be able to sustain, their position as a contender, to bring in somebody of LaMarcus Aldridge's stature, and maintain their core. Yeah, they're all a year older, but to do that, keep Kawhi Leonard, sort of pin down, frankly, Greg Popovich to promise Aldridge that he will stick around for the next 4 years. Right there, that was one of the selling points. Aldridge wanted to know that Pop would be there, the guy coaching him for the term of this contract. That's a great job by San Antonio. They're not a team that has traditionally been, the destination for free agents. They hadn't needed them all that much with the success they've had, but to just sort of throw the marker out there that much farther for when, how long we can expect them to be good. I just think that was a dramatic and impressive signing.
All right, Steve, I kind of threw you a softball there for the first question, so I'm going to throw you a little bit tougher one right now.
Yeah.
San Antonio, Golden State,
like a Kershaw pitch.
Cleveland Cavaliers. Who you got right now?
Well, between those two?
Between those three. Cleveland, Golden State, San Antonio.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. I guess it is a tough one. See, I expected the Spurs and the Cavaliers to play in this year's finals. I thought that Golden State would be the regular season darlings who, in the playoffs, they would get a little bit solved by the Spurs. So I'm going to stick with that logic because we've had more exposure to Golden State, and you give NBA teams time, they are able to break things down and find openings. So I'm going to say San Antonio. I think Cleveland's going to have a cakewalk, relatively speaking, in the Eastern Conference, as long as you've got LeBron James, and they can't have more injuries to key guys than they had this year. So I think that by having them, that group together from the start, I would expect Cleveland will be back in the finals, and I think San Antonio will be the team back there. And Popovich handled LeBron James before, and I think he would be able to figure it out and do it again.
Well, you guys keep talking about Cleveland, and if Tristan Thompson decides to leave, you might want to readdress that question too, guys. And you're saying right now who you're picking. LeBron James is not on that team either. That team's not going to be in any kind of finals at the YMCA without LeBron and Tristan Thompson. I just want to throw that in since I'm the stupid one here.
He can't leave. He'd get skewered by the sporting public. You can't pledge your devotion and talk about going home after your ersatz college education down in Miami. You're coming home. You can't do that and leave a year later. I mean, I think he painted himself into a corner. And the fact that Tristan Thompson has the same agent as LeBron James, he might want to look hard at his agent because is his agent working for him, Tristan, or is he working for LeBron?
Sure. I actually thought about that. I said the only Paul he could have worse than the one he has as an agent would be Ron Paul. You were talking. I want to throw you a Clayton Kershaw hardball though. Who screwed up? Who screwed up the worst? I mean, I look at Sacramento and I can't figure out what's going on there. The Lakers and what they're doing. The Knicks, and Les has brought that up. I mean, who in the world is in charge of those teams, and are those the teams that you wonder what they're thinking?
Well, and let's not forget the Portland Trailblazers.
Sure,
Whose team's
yeah.
pretty much been blown up. With Aldridge leaving, Matthews leaving, they traded Nicholas Batum, Robin Lopez leaving. Damian Lillard's going to stick around for 5 years and $120 million. And, in addition to having more in his wallet, he's going to have more defenders around him because he doesn't have the help. So the Portland Trailblazers fans have seen a pretty entertaining team vanish in a matter of a week or so. And so I think you got to add them to the list. The Lakers have been dealing with this problem now since the failed Steve Nash, Dwight Howard stuff. The Knicks are a mess, and you might have said there's some design to that, but right now the bargain bin. I don't even say bargain, given the money involved, but the seconds, the returns or the cutouts that they got for their squad this summer is not impressive at all. And who's the other team you threw out there? Anyway, those teams are, they're sort of sitting by the side. Meanwhile, Denver Nuggets, did they not realize free agency has started?
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, we're out here in Mountain Daylight Time, and it hadn't gotten to us yet, we think. I've never seen a team. I'm sure you do this, Steve. I go to the various websites and I look at free agent rumors, free agents who've signed, hear some talk about them. I can't even find anybody talking about them. I mean, Monte Ellis was the only name I heard mentioned out there that at least sniffed the Denver Nuggets. It's stunning to us. I mean, you're an observer, certainly, and smarter than we are. And what's going on with the Nuggets? I thought they'd try to keep that momentum going by doing some kind of deal out there with a free agent.
They're going all Euro, Steve. All Euro, all the time.
Well, then, that's good for them. I don't think that they'll get a lot of, and it's not going to intimidate anybody, obviously, but if that's the way they want to build. No, it's just it's curious. Now, one thing I would always caution the team, and I guess if Denver's doing very little, then at least it's not doing this, is luring guys by offering too much money or too long a contract, usually markets that aren't very appealing to the first or second tier free agents. They get guys by overpaying or doing too much. And I was in Minnesota for a long, long time, and the best free agent get they ever had was a guy named Mike James, because they would give him an extra year, an extra, $10 million or so back in the day. So you don't want to do that, and I guess that sort of restraint is good, but I don't see what Denver's doing except maybe setting itself up for a tankathon.
Oh, I think you both are wrong. I think they're going to go join the league in Greece, and they could win that league. Some European league.
I don't even think the Eurozone wants them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Not to dwell on the Nuggets because we're sitting here doing it, but Moutier, I thought, okay, you sign Moutier, you got people excited, you're trying to sell some tickets, get people interested again. Then you go out and get a Paul Millsap, or somebody that's Greg Monroe, something like that, just where you could say. But the best we get out of him is, we're going to try and bring Daryl Arthur back. Pardon me. So
yeah. Well, even David Lee, he was on the market. He's moving now from Golden State to Boston, and Boston gives up Gerald Wallace, who really hasn't played and sort of done. So David Lee showed in the finals he still has a little bit of useful life. I mean, somebody like that would have I think generated a little bit of interest, but guy's going to play for a contract again, so. Usually you can expect a little bit of a boost in performance from them, but they seem to be. We're gonna go into development mode only, and hope that the altitude is our biggest threat to visiting teams.
Do you think? Final question, and I appreciate you staying on, but I have to ask you.
Sure.
Do you think Carmelo, that just nobody wants to go play with him?
I think it's a combination of factors. He's not been a player that people have wanted to go play with because they don't get the ball nearly as much as with Carmelo requiring it. It's sort of a mini Kobe arrangement, where Carmelo's got to get service first, and and then you wait for whatever scraps fall off his plate. I've not been a big Carmelo fan. I'm not sure if you or your audience knows that. I think he's been overrated mostly by himself. I think when he came into the league with LeBron and with Wade and with Bosh, he started to see himself as a peer of LeBron and Kobe particularly, without nearly having the credential, without nearly making the difference on the floor. I said to me, he's a reincarnation of Bernard King. He's a scorer. He does one thing very well, but he fancies himself to be a franchise-changing guy. When he didn't come to Chicago last year, I'm based in Chicago, and so I saw that very up close and just thought, the Bulls dodged a bullet there, because you have to pay this guy who's now 31 and earning max money until he's about 35. That hamstrings a team. But I think it's more than just him. I think that he is sort of the poster guy for the New York Knicks, and they give you sort of bogus star power, and really the Phil Jackson thing. He didn't make his bones, with all the respect and all the rings he has in the front office of the team. So he's miscast. If he's not going to coach your team, maybe you're not getting all of Phil Jackson that way. And Derek Fisher walked into a big salary as a head coach without ever having served any time. I mean, there are a lot of flaws with that team, and I just think the ownership is kind of sideways and goofy at times. It is a mess, and it's a shame because you can't have all these pillar franchises. Well, you know what? I take that back. You can, because obviously the TV money is going to come in like a flood, and yet the Lakers aren't good. The Knicks aren't good. Philadelphia has just been churning, for a few years. Boston is sort of digging its way back into things. And you think, well, you need those franchises to avoid having everything this league does put on tape delay. But TV people don't see it that way. And it's teams in San Antonio and Oklahoma City and Milwaukee, I think, scored a coup with Greg Monroe. Some of these smaller and medium markets that have stepped up, which means Denver ought to be able to do something too, but isn't built that way right now.
Well, Steve, nobody in Denver is crying over the Knicks' problems because the Nuggets might end up with the Knicks' #1 choice next year. Steve, really appreciate it. Where can we find you on Twitter?
Twitter, the handle is it's Ash NBA, ASCH NBA, and I welcome all tweets and try to do my best for them.
All right, and of course at NBA.com. Thanks, Steve. We'll talk to you soon.